In the early 2000s, Elizabeth Holmes was a young woman with a very big dream. She was only 19 when she dropped out of Stanford University to start a company that would change the world of blood testing. Her vision? To create a device that could perform a wide range of tests from just a few drops of blood. It was an ambitious idea that promised to revolutionize medical testing forever. But how did this idea come to life? Elizabeth, driven by her passion and belief in her technology, founded Theranos. She named it Theranos, combining therapy and diagnosis, reflecting her vision of transforming healthcare. But creating such groundbreaking technology was no small task. Elizabeth knew she needed the best minds to make her dream a reality. So she started recruiting top scientists and engineers. Now, imagine you're part of a team working on something that could change lives. Wouldn't you want to be involved in something that exciting? Elizabeth Holmes was able to attract some of the brightest minds in the field who were intrigued by her bold vision. Then came Sunny Balwani, a businessman with a strong track record, who joined Theranos and played a significant role in running the company. His involvement was key to the company's rapid growth. But what drove these two to take such a huge risk? Securing funding was another challenge. Elizabeth managed to raise millions from high-profile investors who were captivated by her promises. She pitched Theranos as a revolutionary technology that would make blood tests faster, cheaper, and more accessible. How could anyone resist such a groundbreaking idea? So here's a question for you. If you were an investor at that time, would you have believed in Theranos' vision? What would it take for you to invest in a company with such a daring promise? As we move forward, think about it. How did they manage to capture the world's attention so quickly? Stay tuned as we dive deeper into the rise of Theranos and explore how their promises began to shape the future. Theranos quickly transformed from a small startup to a biotech sensation, capturing headlines and capturing imaginations. But what was it that made Theranos the talk of the town? Let's start with the Edison device. Theranos claimed it could perform a wide range of tests using just a few drops of blood. This was supposed to be a game changer. Imagine a world where you could get detailed health information with just a tiny sample. How exciting is that? The company's promise was very appealing, and it caught the eye of many people who were eager to see this revolutionary technology in action. Elizabeth Holmes and her team weren't just making claims. They were backing them up with a series of bold announcements and impressive demonstrations. They showcased the Edison device to investors and partners with great fanfare. With each demo, they promised a new era in blood testing, faster results, lower costs, and greater convenience. Can you see why people were so intrigued? The buzz around Theranos led to partnerships with major corporations. Walgreens, a leading pharmacy chain, was one of the first to jump on board. They were excited about the potential of Theranos' technology and agreed to set up Theranos testing centers in their stores. Safeway, a large supermarket chain, also partnered with Theranos, planning to offer their blood tests to customers. These partnerships seemed like a huge win for Theranos, proving their technology had the backing of major industry players. But what made these partnerships possible? It wasn't just the technology. It was the influence of Theranos' powerful board of directors. This board included former high-ranking officials and military leaders. Their names alone lent credibility to Theranos and attracted more attention and investment. Isn't it fascinating how a well-connected board can make such a difference? Theranos also got a lot of media attention. Elizabeth Holmes was compared to Steve Jobs, and her black turtleneck became her signature look. She was featured in major publications like Forbes and Fortune, which only added to the company's allure. It's incredible how a charismatic leader and strong media presence can elevate a company's profile, isn't it? The company's rapid growth was nothing short of extraordinary. Valuations soared, and Theranos was soon worth billions. They expanded their labs, rolled out more testing centers, and continued to build excitement about their technology. But amidst this rapid expansion, how was Theranos handling the challenges of actually making their technology work? With all this hype and success, one might wonder, what were the actual capabilities of the Edison device? How accurate were the tests? And were there any hidden problems behind the glossy presentations? These are the questions that many began to ask as the story of Theranos unfolded. As you reflect on this chapter, think about how Theranos managed to captivate so many people so quickly. What were the elements that made their rise so dramatic and compelling? And more importantly, what do you think might happen next when the promises start to face scrutiny? As Theranos enjoyed the spotlight and continued to grow, not everyone was convinced that their technology was as revolutionary as it seemed. Behind the glossy presentations and impressive demonstrations, cracks began to appear, revealing a much darker reality. It all started with doubts from within. Early employees of Theranos were beginning to see problems with the technology. The Edison device, which was supposed to be a game changer, wasn't performing as promised. It was failing to deliver accurate results, which is very troubling for a company that prided itself on accuracy and reliability. Have you ever had a technology that didn't work as expected? Imagine that on a scale where people's health and lives are at stake. These internal issues led to conflicts among the staff. Some scientists and engineers raised concerns about the device's performance, but their voices were often ignored or dismissed. They knew the technology was far from perfect, but they were pressured to keep quiet. What would you do if you were in their position, knowing that the technology you're working on isn't as reliable as it should be? The situation worsened when whistleblowers began to come forward. Tyler Schultz, the grandson of a Theranos board member, and Erica Chung, a former lab associate, were among those who decided to speak out. They risked their careers and personal safety to expose the truth. They claimed that Theranos was not only misrepresenting its technology, but also misleading patients and investors. How brave is it to risk everything to reveal a truth that many are trying to hide? Their whistleblowing triggered an intense investigation by the Wall Street Journal. Reporter John Carreyrou took a deep dive into Theranos' claim, uncovering significant discrepancies between what Theranos promised and what the technology could actually do. Carreyrou's investigative pieces exposed many of the issues and began to shift public perception. How does it feel when someone's hard work is finally recognized and validated by a major news outlet? Despite mounting evidence and growing scrutiny, Theranos tried to maintain its public image. Elizabeth Holmes and Sunny Balwani fought back, using legal threats and public relations tactics to discredit the whistleblowers and the negative press. They denied the allegations and claimed that the technology was still in development and would soon prove itself. Can you imagine the stress and tension of having your company's future on the line while trying to fend off accusations? Meanwhile, regulatory agencies like the FDA and CMS started taking notice. They began investigating Theranos to determine if the company was violating any health and safety regulations. Their inquiries revealed serious concerns about the accuracy of Theranos' tests. The company faced warnings and sanctions, adding to the growing list of problems. What happens when the authorities get involved in a high-profile case like this? As we look at these developments, consider how the initial excitement surrounding Theranos started to unravel. The company's rise was fueled by high expectations and bold promises, but these were now being challenged by serious doubts and investigations. What do you think happens when the confidence of a company is shaken by internal and external pressures? The cracks in Theranos' facade were widening, and the company's future became increasingly uncertain. As more information came to light, it became clear that the problems were more profound than anyone had initially thought. How would these revelations affect the company's reputation and the people who had invested so much in its success? With each new development, the story of Theranos was becoming more complex and dramatic. The once celebrated tech company was now facing a turbulent and uncertain path. What will be the ultimate outcome of this escalating crisis? How will the truth shape the future of Theranos and its key figures? The excitement around Theranos began to crumble as more and more people started to realize that the company's promises were not adding up. What was once hailed as a revolutionary technology soon faced a dramatic downfall. The turning point came when the Wall Street Journal published its explosive investigation into Theranos. The article revealed significant problems with the Edison device, showing that the technology was not delivering the results it claimed to. This was a huge blow to Theranos, as the article shattered the illusion of a perfect, groundbreaking device. How would you feel if something you believed in so strongly was suddenly exposed as flawed? As the article spread, public trust in Theranos began to erode rapidly. People who had once been excited about the technology now questioned its validity. Investors who had poured millions into the company started to pull out their money. The damage was done, and it was clear that Theranos was facing an uphill battle to regain credibility. Theranos' response to the crisis was to launch a vigorous defense. Elizabeth Holmes and Sunny Balwani denied the accusation, organizations trying to discredit the report and reassure the public. But despite their efforts, the evidence against them continued to grow. Can you imagine the pressure they must have felt as they tried to protect their company from collapsing? Government agencies quickly got involved. The FDA and CMS investigated Theranos thoroughly, finding that the company had indeed violated numerous regulations. Theranos faced sanctions and its laboratories were shut down. The scrutiny from these agencies made it clear that the company's troubles were not just a minor issue, but a serious breach of public trust. The legal battles began, and Elizabeth Holmes and Sunny Balwani were charged with fraud. The charges alleged that they had knowingly misled investors, patients, and doctors about the capabilities of their technology. The legal system now had to determine the extent of their wrongdoing. How do you think they felt as their world unraveled in court? As the trials proceeded, the focus shifted to the future of Theranos and its key figures. The company's reputation was irreparably damaged, and it became clear that the once promising biotech giant was facing its end. What do you think it feels like to go from being a celebrated innovator to facing legal consequences and public disgrace? The collapse of Theranos was a dramatic and shocking end to a story that began with such high hopes. The company's rise and fall serve as a stark reminder of the importance of transparency and honesty in innovation. As we reflect on this story, consider the journey from a bold vision to a dramatic downfall. What lessons can we learn from the rise and fall of Theranos, and how will this impact the future of startups and technology? The saga of Theranos is a powerful example of how quickly things can change in the world of business and technology. It's a story that leaves us thinking about the true cost of ambition and the importance of staying grounded in reality. As we wrap up the story of Theranos, it's clear that the journey from a groundbreaking vision to a dramatic downfall offers valuable insights. Imagine a company once poised to revolutionize healthcare, only to face a massive collapse due to unmet promises and deception. It's a vivid reminder of how crucial it is to balance ambition with transparency. Theranos' rise was fueled by an inspiring vision and charismatic leadership, but its fall highlights the dangers of over-promising and under-delivering. Think about it. How would you feel if you discovered that something you believed in and invested in was built on shaky ground? This story prompts us to reflect on the true meaning of innovation and integrity. As we look back, ask yourself, what are the real lessons to be learned from Theranos' journey? How can we apply these lessons to ensure that future innovations are both visionary and reliable? Theranos' story is more than a cautionary tale. It's a powerful narrative about the high stakes of ambition and the importance of honesty. Let this be a thought-provoking conclusion to our exploration, leaving us with questions about the nature of trust and the future of technological advances.